say a little bit about yourself, Glennis, and then we can ask some questions.
I don't know really where to start. Have always done some form of voluntary work from the time I was about 16 because my father was heavily involved as a volunteer. So started in Skegness as a volunteer for St John Ambulance Brigade, went on to do volunteering with Women's Royal Voluntary Services, and then moved to Peterborough when my children were four and 7. And then got involved with the school as a parent and went in to help out the school twice a week. Helped form a residents association, and then really it started from there. Actually, although you've known like probably 6 weeks before, you don't have to say anything like so. And they announced it at 1 minute past midnight on the 31st December. So I was up, waiting for it to be formally, put it in writing. So I actually I sent a question on Facebook because I'm not very good on Facebook. My son got me on, but I can do little bits, right? So I sent it on Facebook, and one of the young people who'd actually picked it up sent me a lovely message saying thanking for all what they've done for her. She's nearly 30 now, so that was quite nice.
So when you get the MBE, what actually happens? What do they...
I don't actually know. I keep looking on the website. But apparently I get 5 weeks notice of when the event is, and then I can take three guests with me. And apparently the guests sit in the main room, and you're kept to one side, and then you're announced as to why you've got the MBE, and then you go up to, I don't know who it could be the Queen, Princess Anne, or it could be Prince Charles, and they put it on you. You have like something to put on your dress, so they just clip it on rather than having to fiddle with your dress,
Whoops, got it.
And then you that's it. I think, I don't know, but I've got a new outfit.
Oh, you got a posh hat.
I've got a fascinator. And then one of the things that's got feathers and things.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yes.
But they haven't told you yet what it is you actually go.
No, you have to go before the June because that's when the next
lot
start. So sometime before June. I don't know what day of the week it is or whether it's morning or afternoon because you can't. I've been trying to find out and I can't find out. So excited. I have helped set up the Peterborough Federation of Tenants and Residents Associations. I was their chair for a number of years and actually went on to the National Federation and represented England on social housing conferences. I've always done work with young people because my children were young. Started working with what was then the Westwood Youth Club and became the Phoenix Youth Project. Got funding to keep it going. Worked on the estate action funding with the City Council and got all-weather purpose five-a-side football pitch and a basketball court, and 2 years ago persuaded the council to actually resurface it because it's been used that much. It was worn out, and although someone from the City Council wanted to tarmac it, I would not allow it and said no, or words to that effect. And so we've had it resurfaced properly, and it's still young. I've always had a passion for young people, especially in the Western and Ravensthorpe area, because I actually think they're very hard done by. They're not supported. Funding is always an issue, and I think if you give an area a reasonably bad name, no one wants to know. I've had battles with the press about getting positive stories about young people in, and sometimes would and sometimes didn't. I'm now heavily involved with Diabetes UK, and I'm the treasurer of that, and I'm now a presenter for Diabetes UK as well. I've always worked as well as doing charity work. So when I worked for the prison service and spent 5 years in London commuting daily, I still did 3 nights a week and a Saturday morning as a volunteer, because I think it's important to put things back into the community.
So it wasn't the reason that you could find paid work?
I've already had paid work. I've always worked most of my married life, apart from my 2 children. I've worked at a variety of jobs.
So you're quite a bit of a supermum then, really, aren't you?
I've got a very good supportive husband.
Did you have to sort of like go around and sort of say, I'm doing this project and sort of like drum up business for your funding?
Two ways really. We were very lucky at the time that there was SRB funding, single generation funding in Westwood, and I managed to tap into that. Yeah. And then any time I went to a meeting and you were stuck outside waiting, I always had little projects in my head. Yeah. So I used to tap whoever was outside there. I remember going to a police meeting once and Christine Graham was outside, and I managed to get some funding to do a project for the garden for the kids, you know. So you used every opportunity. And always, I don't know if it's the case now, but between sort of December and March, the council look at their budget and know what they've got left or what got to spend. And often if you can deliver a project costed for, say, over £1,000, if they can spend it by the end of March, they don't lose it. So
do you find that the local people within the area were quite supportive of you starting up these projects then?
Got quite a lot of support, yes.
I mean, how do you think it all came about? Was it mainly perhaps the children were sort of hanging around on the street and perhaps getting into bad habits and things like that? Or
we actually did a survey. The Two Residents Association and the Community Association, a long time ago, did an estate survey, and there was about 20 questions. We wanted to find out actually what, because although we live there, you're only one person, so it went to every house, and it was things like what for young people, what facilities are there? Are you worried about the estate? What crime? You know, all sorts of questions.
So you were doing that through the housing association?
No, we did it. Through
just the mums, as it were.
We actually did it through the Two Residents Associations. And we delivered it to every house. And we went back and collected it. We actually said we'd come and collect it. And we got a 12.5% response, which is 3 times as much as Morrie. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Morrie based their figures on 4%.
Oh right, so that's
so and then we looked at the responses. I mean, I still remember, it's like 20 years ago, and I still remember some of the responses. One of them said that Westwood shops was like Beirut. Sorry. But a lot of them did say about the crime, about young people. So we actually used that. We had planned to have a council bus, going around the estate, targeting different areas. So we went with a school. It was going to be about young people. We were going to go to the Hotwell Court, the old people's session, and we were going to do a thing about granny boot and all sorts of things. And about 3 days before we were due to start, the petrol strike came on. So I'm thinking, what are we going to do? So I actually rang the director of housing at that time, Sheila Grant, and said, there's an empty shop in Westwood, can we have it for a week just to do this project? So she actually agreed. I got the council, the environmental people, to come and clean it up on the window, because there was all graffiti on the window, because the mayor was coming down to open the shop. So I used that as a point, you know, the mayor's coming, you can't have this. And then we actually opened the shop, and then we had people coming in and filling things in. And that's really how the development trust started, because we realised the benefits of having a shop in the local centre. So we actually got it we got some SRB funding. And we actually moved into, take it back. I think it's all about sometimes who you know rather than what you know. Yeah. So my son at the time worked for the local spa in the centre, and they'd recently took over the Martin's shop, but they took it over because they wanted the lottery licence from Martin's, and they moved it into the spa and left the shop empty. But actually they were against their lease, because it said the shop had to be open for so many days a year, and it wasn't, it was closed. So I wrote to the head office at Spa and said, we'll open it for you as a peppercorn rent if you let us have it. So they charge us £1 a year, and we opened the shop until the lease ran out, and that was brilliant. So we got some SRB funding to actually staff it, and we got a worker.
From what you say though, you've been very driven by your own motivation, and you've done a lot of it yourself, haven't you?
Yeah.
You didn't like sounding like you're getting a lot of help.
Um,
Is it done through the housing?
no, I think you have to have horses for courses.
Yeah.
And I'm articulate. I will talk to anybody, and I don't accept no as an option.
Has it managed to get round to other areas, what you've done, specifically in that area?
Quite a few of them have like a development trust, or a shop. Yeah, probably not to the extent that we actually did it, because we actually got some funding for computers. We were the only community online centre.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got that. We got funding for the computers, and we upgraded them as well. Some of our young people have been successes, and some have been failures. There was one particular young man who I knew when he walked in the youth club, because the hairs on the back of my neck used to stand up. You know, he was. I just you know. Yes, and I didn't like him at all. I thought he was going to be a real problem, right? And he joined the army cadets, and then he drifted off, because he was that age, right? And I was going to London when I worked in London, and someone said, "Hello, Glennis." I thought, "Who's that?" Looked round, and it was this young man who worked in Canary Wharf, was suited and booted, and thinking, yeah, absolutely amazed. So some of them have worked, and we had Nicole Lawrence used to come to our youth club. So it's you know, and her brother. So well, I don't know, how can you tell whether be successes, because you don't know what they've done if they hadn't been there.
Yes.
You know. Yeah. But I would hope to think that some people have actually, you know.
Yeah. And often it would be sort of successes, I expect, that wouldn't be broadcast. Sort of people staying on the straight and narrow and having a kind of a decent life.
A normal life, yes.
Yeah,
You only
for
hear about the
some
ones,
kids that is a major, massive achievement.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we used to have, the young people that we used to attract weren't the ones that would go and get good GCSEs, that would be what I call normal kids. Yeah. We used to get the ones that had issues and problems, whose parents were...
But that must have been a challenge in itself, because they must have some sort of behavioural problems as well. Yeah. And then bringing that within a confined space, that must have been quite difficult to handle.
Yes, I mean, I did handle that. Janet, who we actually started working in the club together, she actually went on to do some training to be a youth worker, and she actually ran the club.